What's up, guys? I wanted to showcase a build I was working on. Initially, I was working on this for Parry the Pigs contest, but the weapon ended up not being exactly what I wanted for the build, but I did make a functioning build nonetheless. I wanted to share it. It's still kind of early. I started this yesterday. The gear is going to change a lot, but I think the skills and how I spec is pretty much going to stay the same. The passive tree is going to change a little, and the gear is going to change a little. The sigil and holy aura and volatile reversal is all kind of meta, so I'm not going to go over it too much. If you have questions about it, you can message me. I do highly recommend getting all the cooldown nodes. You definitely want to take both of these. This is the bulk of your damage for single target, and it's in these nodes right here, and casting this as many times in a boss fight as you can is gonna make life a lot easier. So, and then this stuff is just kind of utility. I will put a written guide up later, but for now, until I get the gear down, I'm just gonna post a quick kind of overview on YouTube. So what we're doing with this build is we're casting Judgment and utilizing the consecrated ground or dot damage that it leaves behind. So this deals a bunch of dot. So we take this, more multi. This is just kind of a little damage on the back end, not super important. This AoE makes it so we can kill a lot of stuff at once. These two nodes work together. This is a more multi per mana spent, and this makes it cost 40 as well as removes the cooldown on it. So basically we're getting like a 80% more multi. It's technically 36 right now, but that won't be forever. Has to do with the base of weapon I'm using, not that important, but just it's a more multi. And then since it's so expensive, taking this node with our vengeance helps us recoup some of that mana while this aura is active. Every time we successfully hit, we get 5 mana, so it just helps us recoup a little bit, as well as some mana regen. Vengeance is not a damage dealing skill, but is actually more of a utility skill. It gives us fire shred with this node. The base skill, while you're when you riposte, so it only works with hits. You take 25 DR or less damage, and then you also get less damage from here after you hit for 2 seconds. You'll get 25 less damage and armor, so it makes you tanky. Other things it's doing for us is giving us increased damage, and then this increases it decreases the amount of DR for the base skill, but it increases how many times we can do it. So we can do it for 3 hits instead of 2, as well as it keeps this up a little bit longer, because if you vengeance, get hit, you no longer have Dark Duelist, but if you can do it 3 times, the damage stays a little bit. And it's important to know that because skills are snapshotted in last Epoch, that you have to attack with vengeance before casting Judgment to benefit from this. And it's important to note that, let's say you no longer have riposte left, but you had it when you cast Judgment, it'll stay. But what's important to know is that you attack first and then you cast Judgment, so you have a little bit of increased damage, and this is just attack speed. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. In Monolith, keeping this up isn't super important. It does give you some DR, and when you're fighting tankier monsters, you definitely want to lead with vengeance, but in general, just casting 1 Judgment is going to be enough to kill most packs. So you always want to get your sigils going. You cast your VR to recoup the mana, and then everything dies. So you can kind of just, efficiently place those as you go through the monoliths. And for the boss, what you want to do is you'll lunge into the boss, you'll hit with vengeance, cast as many judgments as you possibly can. You just spam him, and that's why it's good we don't have a cooldown, because we can just go in, spam a bunch, and then what we'll do is we'll hit the VR and do this. If the boss isn't already dead, do the same thing, repeat the rotation, vengeance, spam these. So I'll show you guys what I mean. Let's get this real quick. All right, so lunge, vengeance, spam a bunch, VR. And then they just kind of get shredded. And then I'll do it one more time. So lunge, vengeance. I mean, lunge isn't, that's just to save time, right? Really, it's vengeance, judgment, VR, vengeance, judgment, VR. Vengeance, judgment, VR. So I'll show you guys one more time. So we're going to zip in there, going to hit it, and then spam cast, then volatile. All right. Oh, I kind of fucked that up, but... And then they just get melted. So that's generally how the build works. I'll show you guys the passive tree real quick. Some stuff is going to change. I'm not using a scepter right now, but I'll probably dump excess points into this when I am. It's just I have a nice wand that I want to use, and I haven't found a good scepter, so probably put points here. But I do want to talk, when I talk about gear, I want to talk about dual wielding in general. But this is what it looks like here. Generally, you're only going to have 5 points here, but I have excess points right now, and I don't have a scepter, so I just put the points here. Same with this node. You don't need points here. But the rest of the skill tree, this is how it's generally going to look. Healing effectiveness, like I mentioned, is extra damage, so it makes these two nodes really good. And then the gear, I don't want to talk too much about it, but just know you're going to need a source of leech. You can do that with Bleeding Heart. You can do that with Burning Avarice, and you can also do that with, oops, that's in the right spot. With the Black Sun, since it is a spell that we're using, even though it's dot, normally this doesn't work for like elements, but it will work for spells that deal dot damage. Throne of Ambition is good during boss fights, helps us get a little more armor, makes us tankier as well as more damage. The rest of this stuff is just kind of whatever, just stuff I had lying around. I do want to talk about the weapon. I think this is what I haven't figured out for the build. You want attack speed to make everything feel good, and I'll show you what I mean. Both our skills are melee, right? So they scale off attack speed. Now, if we want to get a lot of procs from vengeance, we need to attack quicker. So if I'm, just using this, I'm kind of slow. I get faster. I mean, this one has faster base attack, as well as I can throw some melee attack speed on it, make myself a little faster, then it's smoother. But you really notice a difference when you're going through maps with Judgment. So can make it a little faster if I throw this in. And then if you spec out of these nodes, you'll really see a difference where it'll feel clunky as you're going through maps. Like you'll go to cast it, you'll get stunned, you'll get hit, and you need, since you're not dealing constant damage, it's dot, you need to get that leech ASAP, or, you'll just die. So, but at the same time, you take more damage by dual wielding, and you give up, so you can use like a Titan's Heart for a little bit of DR, make yourself tankier. So this thing, if you dual wield, and then you probably want to use a staff because the LE damage over time mod, and so you give up using this, and you also give up, I think I have my Bastion, I don't think I have one in the stash, but you give up using a shield in general. So I haven't quite figured out, I think I could probably get enough attack speed on gloves, and so I don't think I'm going to dual wield forever. This is just what I had available to me at the moment, but in the future I'm going to be looking to either two-hand with a staff for elemental damage over time, preferably T7 would be great, and if not that, then I would use a shield just to make yourself, because we're Sentinel, we're a little bit, we're not very tanky, and being tanky is good. So that'll change, and I'll update the build. I'll also release a guide for this later on, but I just wanted to showcase kind of the basic fundamentals, and yeah, I'll post again maybe in a week once I've updated this build and got some better gear for it. And if you have any ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments. Otherwise, thanks and have a good day.